Reloaded. You can check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded or twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. All kinds of fun to be had on those instances. Glad to have everybody here. Still getting stuff a little bit set up. I hit that button way too early, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. We're gonna do it live. All right? We're gonna do it live. God, I'm sexy. Look at that. Unkempt hair. I know why you guys come here now. Got me some Rios. So anyway, we're going to be discussing Star Trek Picard. May get cut a little bit short because it's half day for my kids, but I'll be back if that happens. I'll probably be back anyway. So there is something I'm going to get out of the way. I'll say it a couple of times throughout the stream, and then you're going to be seeing a few more streams than usual, along with my general uploads that I do. So for those of you who don't know, but most of you probably do because it's the diehards that come to these things, I am moving. And the good news is that I've actually found a place. I've actually paid for it. I'm going to be moving in sometime soon with a troll video that you guys will enjoy because you're in on the joke, but most of the people here or on the channel aren't because they don't watch as closely as you do. That said, I literally spent a used car's worth. I spent as much as I did on my used car, because I don't buy new vehicles because that's dumb, on the deposits and everything. And so, because of that, I am on emergency reserves, as it were. So, before I give the pitch, let me say, if you can't or don't want to, that's fine. Please don't give me any money you don't have or anything like that. I'll be fine. If you need to buy your own food, please don't worry about mine. But if you feel the need and you'd like to support and help me get through this slump, because I got to survive the next 3 weeks, please consider giving. I've removed super chats because super chats don't actually come until next month. If you want to give, consider doing the tipping. If you do the tipping, you'll see a little thing that says whatever you put there, unless it's curse words, or you can just give straight to the PayPal. I get that instantly. It'll help me out. If you want to help, great. If you don't, that works too. All right, guys, let's get right into it. Honestly, I, for the most part, liked this episode. If you guys are on my Twitter, you would have noticed I was commenting. Usually, I watch this stuff as soon as I wake up in the morning, and I kind of give my thoughts through it. There were only a couple of pieces I didn't like, very annoying slots. Beyond that, it wasn't that bad. Picard gets the idiot stick for a little while, which is annoying, but beyond that, I think it's solid. It's the solid second or... I'd say it's the second or third best episode of the series, in my opinion. Which is interesting, because it's really... I don't know that it's filler, but it is just the heroes get the information that we have. They learn all of the bad stuff that's going on. We get a little bit more information, but they finally catch up with us. And then we're off to the races with the final 2 episodes. So, my cat looks better than I do. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. That makes me feel good about myself and my life choices. So I appreciate that. All right, so we're going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown, as is our custom. And then we'll see what you guys want to do after that. And we'll discuss it. So here we go. All right. So, hold on for a second. Also, if you give and it doesn't pop up, let me know in the chat, and then I'll look see what the message was so we can talk about it. What are you doing? Why are you guys can't see him, but he's just sitting there. All right, so the first scene kind of explains to us the background for the Zhat Vash and where they specifically were going and what they were doing. It breaks down, basically the backstory. Oh, I gotta turn that off. There we go. And so in it, we see the 2 main antagonists that we've seen. We've seen Sister Incest, I forget her name, as well as Commander O. And apparently Commander O was and is a Romulan spy. Half Romulan, half Vulcan, we find out. She gets into Starfleet and starts working her way up through the ranks to become head of Starfleet security. We'll discuss that in a little bit more detail later. Ultimately, apparently what happened thousands of centuries ago, Not just thousands of years, but centuries. So thousands of those centuries. So thousands upon thousands of years. A civilization made synthetic life. The synthetic life had a turning point where they became better than those that created them and ultimately destroyed all life. Now, we're assuming that all of this being told to us is true. This could be, of course, propaganda. Perhaps the ones who created the synthetic life just didn't like them and is making it all up. But let's, for right now, assume that they're telling us all the truth. So, at that point, they find this planet, they leave all of this information to be found, which is found by the Romulans. Here's a question, though. I wonder, it would be intriguing to me if they tried to make it the Preservers. I think that's the name of them. The Preservers that we saw in TNG that left this message. That would be really an interesting tie back. I don't think it really fits with who the Preservers were in the TNG episode, but maybe. Either way, synthetic life was created, and for whatever reason, it was then destroyed and life had to start anew. They left this planet, which the Romulans found. And after finding this planet, the Romulans created the Zhat Vash. Oh, and apparently if you see this information, everything that is going to happen or everything that has happened before, and will happen again, one might say, most people go insane with only 2 or 3 able to actually survive it. There's also a really interesting tie-in here, too. The woman we found that was assimilated was apparently here. We see her, and she goes insane. And her ship was then assimilated by the Borg, which then the Borg cut off. So that's kind of an interesting way of tying all of that together. I don't know how I feel about that, but apparently the Borg cube we see, nobody. Apparently the Borg cube we see. It is going along the Alpha Quadrant, just minding its own business. It sees a Tal Shiar planet. It sees a Tal Shiar planet, or a Tal Shiar ship, and comes up on the ship, assimilates it, finds this chick who's gone insane, and then just decides to cut the cube loose. Which tells us the collective does exist, but we kind of already knew that. So, a lot of intriguing pieces there. And I don't know how I feel about the first part. There's some unnecessary gore as well to add to it, but again, that's really all there is when it comes to that piece. I don't know. For those of you who have seen it, what are your thoughts on it? It has a couple of tie-ins for me. Honestly, it gives me a Doctor Who vibe, like looking into time and time absolutely destroying you. Yeah, I really think it has some Doctor Who vibes. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Let's take a look at it real quick, and then we will be back. The Psychonians. If Commander O is a half Vulcan, half Romulan, I wonder if that half Romulan that was found by the crazy old admiral who had it in Picard was also Zhat Vash. If Commander O is a half Vulcan, half Romulan, I wonder if that half Romulan that was found by the crazy old admiral... I don't understand what you're saying there. The cube lets them go so they can re-attack the Seb Sheneb. Okay. This seems like a recipe for a convoluted plot line. It's a little in-depth. Well, that's one thing, though. The Borg don't let people go. Very odd behavior for them. Frostwitch, that is actually not true, my good friend. They do, in fact, will disconnect a Borg cube if there's significant damage or if they find that there's something that'll hurt the collective overall. That's completely consistent. We see that in The Next Generation with Hugh's cube, and then we also see that in Voyager. There's at least one. I want to say 2. two cubes that are disconnected simply because either the ship had sustained significant damage or there was something on the ship that was dangerous enough to hurt the entire collective. In fact, they discuss how it's interesting. They discuss how the collective, there's two basic hive minds. You have the overall hive mind of the Borg cube, which is then centralized down to a connection to the collective itself, and that connection can be severed on either side if there's a threat to the collective. They discuss it, yeah. So it's not out of the realm that this cube comes upon something, they assimilate someone who would threaten the collective, and so just cut off the cube. Again, we've seen it before. We haven't seen it at an individual level like that. It's usually been like a virus or damage to the cube, but it is technically possible. So they're not inaccurate there. What's up, Chris? You stayed up late just so you could be a part of the chat today. Well, hey, I started when I started so you could be a part of the chat today too. You specifically. And that's true. We got 100 people watching, only 19 likes. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. All right. So let's see. Now we're about to see something we have never seen before. And this is going to blow your guys' minds. And I'm as surprised as you are. Actual character development of this character, Sister Incest. I forget her name. Honestly, I do, because I didn't care about her until this episode. It is very interesting. Actually, I enjoy it because, just honestly, a plot line with her wanting to sleep with her brother and being jealous of her brother's lover just didn't really intrigue me. However, we have this Zadvash, this Tal Shiar agent, who went to the Conclave of Eight, which is those stars, and found out something that would destroy all of life itself. And so she's been working to stop this, and she actually feels something for her, I think her aunt that was there with her? Or some kin that was there with her. She survived the process, her aunt or whoever did not. And so that's something that she just has to deal with. In fact, I wonder, there's a piece of dialogue in there that was done really well that she said something effectively, man, I wish they had assimilated my ship and not yours. And I wonder if that's kind of her hating who she's become or what she has to do. Oh, it's actually a really touching scene. It made me care about this character for a brief second. I was caught off guard by it because I don't care about this character at all. At least until now, because I better understand her motivations, and it's something that I can relate to. I've never really wanted to have sex with any of my kin, so that right there, that Game of Thrones-esque vibe just wasn't doing it for me, So, is it Nerissa? Okay, it's Nerissa. So that's where we'll go with it. There's not a lot to add to this. Again, it's a pretty strong scene. The interesting thing is, I think this is 5 minutes in, and it goes to 8 minutes, I think. Yeah, it goes to about 7 minutes in, and beyond one unnecessary gory piece, and it was just brief. We've had some really strong character development, some good background, just a really decent way of storytelling, in my opinion. Now, for this to make any difference to you, you honestly do have to watch it from the beginning. You have to watch the series from the beginning. If you just started from this episode, you're not going to get a lot from it. But I really think that if you're watching this and you haven't seen this episode yet, that you'll be somewhat pleasantly surprised. I will say this, too. I wish I had started with this at the beginning. There are a lot of things here that I think aren't necessarily that bad, but those who either really hate the series just because they're blinded by it or bad faith actors are going to jump on. And I wouldn't really believe them for this episode. I think that there's a lot of good here. And anything that is bad is marginal at best, especially compared to other episodes. That's just my opinion, though. So, We'll continue moving on for the moment. Gotta turn that off. Then you have Elnor, otherwise known as Legolas. So there's one move here that's idiotic. So you have Elnor in this fight that he's about to lose. The fight is fine. The only thing is that Elnor, for some reason, decided to take the stupid twig from Hugh and just do at least one very, very stupid piece. So he's fighting all of these agents, right? I don't know if they're Tal Shiar agents or they're just normal Romulan security guards, but he's fighting Romulan security guards. They're fighting Romulans. And he walks into this larger area, and all of a sudden, one of the security guards throws something at him that starts beeping and flashing. Now, you may argue that, well, you might say, Lore Reloaded. Lore Reloaded, you sweet, sweet summer child. Elnor is elven. He's only ever been on a planet with warrior nuns and has never seen a flash grenade. And I would say you are accurate there. However, Elnor is not an idiot. Elnor, there it is. Elnor would know that if something is thrown at him and it is beeping and it is flashing, it is a negative thing. Even if he has never seen beeping and flashing things be negative, he is on a ship with people that want him dead, so he can assume that it is a negative thing. So what Elnor shouldn't have done was sit there and stand right in front of it and stare at this beeping and flashing thing until it completely blinds him. There is no reason Elnor would do that. Unless Elnor is indeed an idiot and just gets lucky. But, that said, that is exactly what Elnor does. Gets the living hell... Well, I mean, he puts up a good fight. I mean, he devastates them a lot of the ways. But ultimately, they get the upper hand and begin just beating the living hell out of him until, wait for it... Wait for it... Wait for it. Lo and behold, Seven of Nine, the murderer, arrives. Now, a couple of things here. Ultimately, we knew that she would be coming back because if you look at the IMDb, that kind of gives away everything. She was supposed to be in... Well, at the time that it looked like she might die, 4 episodes. So if you don't count this one, she's got at least 2 more episodes. Maybe she'll be in season 2. Well, that would be the 4th. So she's probably going to be in all of the episodes to the end of the season. And so, you know, her coming back really isn't a major surprise, especially since they did it in the spoilers. Man, I hate the marketing for Picard. They give away too much. Way, way too much. But she comes back and saves them. She asks where Hugh is because the emergency beacon, which, by the way, what the hell kind of emergency beacon? You can just hit it and it goes everywhere? You're telling me that Borg cube doesn't have communications blocked. You even see in earlier episodes, they talk about how they monitor everything going in and out, and they can't stop an emergency beacon, but okay. She's wondering where Hugh is. I'll admit, this is a really touching scene right here. I think it's very sweet, I guess, is a word that I would use for it. It's very comforting. It's a cool scene, and she hugs him and stuff, and, you know, it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. Overall, it was a good fight scene, I think. It was done excessively well. Her showing up was done pretty well as well. By the way, so I want to thank John. I want to thank JM. I don't know if we're giving away names or not, for supporting the channel and doing it through PayPal. So just to let you guys know, and then I'm going to look at your comments and everything. For those who don't know, I've actually been moving, or been getting ready to move, and I am moving a month sooner than I thought I would be. I'll be moving next month versus May, which is when I thought I would be. By the way, there's going to be an awesome video coming out that's going to troll everyone because really only the diehards watch this stuff. So you guys are in on the joke, but most people won't be. It's going to be awesome. But because I'm moving, quicker, I've had to pay money more than I expected. I also literally paid a used car's worth for all the deposits and everything. It's just stupid. So I do need a little bit of assistance when it comes to getting through the month. Now, let me say this. If you can't or don't want to, or you have to eat, don't give me any money. I'll figure it out. I don't want your money if you need it to feed your kids. However, if you have some extra coin and you're interested, you can give it through PayPal or through the tip system. Tip system should pop up and say words if you want it to. The reason why Super Chats aren't allowed right now is because Super Chats would give it into the next month. And obviously I need it by April 1st. So, ironically, I feel really weird about that. I don't like doing stuff like this, which is crazy because this is how I make money. I rely on, being entertaining enough. All right, that should update it. Let's see if it does. Yep. Thank you so much, JM. Really appreciate that. Looking at what your comments are saying to address everything I've done before. Elnor gets to hug 7. Lucky. Well, I'd agree with that. Faux show. Anyone else have reactions of, darn it, when you realize there's a new Picard episode? Why would you feel bad? 7 Ex Machina. It kind of is an Ex Machina. I'll give you that. But I think it's done really well. I just have to say, I think it's... I think it's a good way of putting it together and a good way of her appearing. I don't think Elnor really has to get the hell beat out of him or be an idiot. Like, just staring at something that quite obviously is hostile is not an intelligent way of doing things. But ultimately, again, I think it's decent. I didn't mind it. The chip being designed by Seven or Hugh would probably have a backdoor to the Q's comm blocks and trackers. I mean, you really could, in theory, you could argue that maybe it's Borg technology and they're not even able to bypass it, even if they're on a Borg cube. I guess you could make that argument, maybe. Can't take humans seriously once you've lived with Klingons. That's true. That's just honest to God true. Apparently Max Matthews serves the Queen. I don't know what the hell's up with that. He could have been a plant after all. Yeah. Seven saved his britches on this one, I have to say, though I don't know how I feel about her being a Borg queen. I remember my Voyager days, and it seems a bit off color. I don't think so, Frost. We'll talk about that when we get to that scene. I think it honestly was a return to Voyager in a way. How she became the Borg Queen and the way she was drawn to it, that's very Voyager 7 of 9. That was a part of her base character, honestly, when you think about it. She specifically was released from the Collective, but the Collective never really left her. And even in later seasons, she talked about the pull of the Collective, even wanting to return to it into the last season. And so, with that, the fact that she is kind of drawn to being a queen makes sense, I think. I think it's a good way of putting it together. What's going on, Vovocat? You're never late, Vovocat. We wait until you get here to start the show. Let's all be honest. That's exactly what we do. We wait till you get here to start the show. And now, the show can begin. All right. So let's... I gotta move this over here. Let's continue. Whoop, that's the wrong one. That's the right one. So yeah, it is a Deus Ex 7, I guess you could say. But I don't know. It's just a really touching moment. I guess I'm getting old and... as I progress. So, this is a scene I absolutely love. Because I love it when people aren't stupid. I love it when things that don't make sense are actually recognized by the characters, and the characters learn from their mistakes. In the 80s and 90s, characters like heroes would always be stupid and do stupid things. I just hate that type of storytelling. I really do. Uh, so now, what happens is we see Picard arrive with Soji, right? So Picard comes here and he has Soji, and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And let me say this. So a lot of people think I hate red letter media. It's kind of intriguing to me. I don't hate red letter media. I don't. I generally respond to people I like or respect, not those I don't. Uh, Generally. So one thing that red letter media states is that everywhere Picard goes, he gets yelled at, and he's always wondering why he's being yelled at. Honest to God, that is so on point. Everywhere Picard goes, someone's yelling at him, and this only proves it. But just to talk about it, he shows up with Soji, right? So they're on the ship. They're like, we got to protect her, what, blah, 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 blah. Then you have Rafi. You have Star Trek's Zoe being actually competent and being Star Trek Zoe. And she's like, what the hell are you doing? Why the hell is this new person on here? The last person, she figured it out. The last person, Agnes, was a spy. She thinks she was a Romulan spy. She's right, but they'll think that she isn't. They'll think she's from the Federation. But anyway, she says Agnes is, this spy that is coming after us. Now you're bringing this new person on that you don't know who this is. You continue to trust people, and it screws us over. And it creates a good dynamic and a good argument between all of the main characters. It creates diversity, if you will. You also have Captain Manspreader, or Rios, who sees Soji and starts freaking out. At first I didn't notice the way he was reacting. It seemed a little off. In retrospect, the scene makes a lot more sense, because now I know what happens at the end. But for the most part, I like the acting here, and I like the dynamics. I also like the fact that Soji is still confused and isn't sure what to do with all this. She seems confused. And let's take a moment here to discuss this. Soji is comparable or better to Michael Burnham in everything she knows and everything that she can do. Soji is an android that can basically take on almost anybody that she wants to. She's one hell of a fighter. She is probably the smartest person on the ship. She knows just about anything that you could ask her. She's a scientist. She is charismatic in her own way. And for all intents and purposes, there's no single individual on that ship that can basically outdo her in anything, like outsmart her or athleticism or anything like that. So she has all of the same builds as Michael Burnham. But she is a much better character than Michael Burnham. If you want to study between bad writing of a semi-decently written character and a poorly written character, one so bad that most people call her Mary Sue, then look no further than Soji and Michael Burnham. Soji has issues. She's not completely sure what is going on. She's not always able to fix it. And you can feel that her flaws are actually there. She can also be outsmarted by the other characters if they know what they're doing or if they have something she's unaware of. Michael, it's never really like that. Michael, it is so fabricated. Michael is made into a character that is so awesome that for someone to outsmart her or outwit her or do something she doesn't understand, then it's unrealistic because of how the character's written. There's going to be a part that comes up here. Another perfect example. One of the most cringiest Discovery episodes was where you learn that Michael has never loved. And that's some kind of big fucking deal, man. It's stupid. But we have a scene here talking about love where Soji is talking with Picard about Data and whether Data loved him or not. We're going to get into that because there is some contention with that scene. But she discusses and talks about love, and it's realistic. It's not written so poorly and so, oh my god, just look how tragic Michael is. I honest to God, Soji is what Michael should be on Discovery. If they wrote Michael the way they wrote Soji, I think that would have been a much, much better series. And it's surprising to me because it's the same writers. Now, they do have Picard, who may be better at telling them how to write. But again, I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I had to question myself because I like Soji. I don't like Michael. Both of them are effectively the same character, just in two different episodes, or they have the same attributes, maybe not the same character. Anyway, that's my tangent. But again, we go back. Rafi's like, "What the hell's going on? Why are we trusting someone new? Picard, you're an idiot." She is absolutely right about this, by the way, and I love this scene. Again, it's adding dynamics. You see arguments and people disagreeing. Which is completely against the way Gene Roddenberry liked it. You weren't supposed to have fighting among the main cast, but technically he said Starfleet, but he meant the main cast. And it's really a well put together scene. I can't praise it enough. I'm trying to think if there's anything more to really add. She pulls a gun on Soji, which is just awesome, might I say. But, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? We'll go talk to you, see what you're thinking. I'm trying to go back and forth. Let me know how you like this new setup. Don't forget to hit those like buttons. It was a Picard episode, I thought. Not sure what you mean by that. I was right and wrong. The Romulans found a planet destroyed by AI. It wasn't Corby's world, which was a miss at a nice tie-in to TOS. Could have been. Soji demonstrates imperfection and faults. Michael Burnham committed freaking mutiny. Yeah, she committed freaking mutiny, did she? The way that was done, it was just bad writing. It was. I regretfully have to agree with the comparison, Chris Cataldo says. Soji is far from a Mary Sue. She's a powerful and capable character, but she has her flaws. I agree. She has her flaws, and her flaws are believable, and they're not just there to exist. So Mary Sue's, people get confused about Mary Sue's. Mary Sue's exist when even their imperfections are something to be marveled at. Like in the Fairly Odd Parents, they added a new character, a girl, perfect girl, I forget what she is. But she's so perfect. She's so perfect that she loves too much. Like her flaw is being too perfect. It's bad writing. It's just bad writing. Soji is fundamentally a different character because she has actually no idea what she's capable of. Even when she's told she is, she doesn't comprehend it. I get what you're saying about Michael and Soji, but Michael just seems like she's written as the perfect Starfleet officer. One so perfect, there's no need for other crews. Soji is an individual. I think that would be exactly right. Go for 697. That is exactly how I would address it. Was Discovery on last night? It wasn't on last night, Max. I'm not completely sure why you're saying that, since I have a image of Picard up, and that's what we're talking about. So when you're tired of this new trash, Warhammer 40k is waiting for you. They don't have any episodes up. I've been doing some Warhammer, though. I've enjoyed the last 2 episodes, and I'm diluting and thinking ending might feel like 90s Trek. I don't think it'll feel like 90s Trek. I'm hoping the ending will be well. They've done this to us before, though. Honestly, Discovery started out pretty weak, and it got better all the way to the Mirror Universe. I thought it was really turning around. The episode right before the Mirror Universe, I think, was one of the best Discovery Trek episodes out there. I think it was a solid Trek episode. I'd probably put it in a top 20 list. Maybe even a top 10 list. I think it was a solid episode. And then they just went completely downhill with it. So they may be doing that to us too. Finally, Narissa has character development. Why does Michael care so much? I don't know when you're saying Michael, but yeah, Narissa does have some character development. Lore is boring, says Merrick. Well, thank you for watching, because even though I am boring to you, the fact you're watching means it expands and other people will see me. So I'm really comfortable with you saying I'm boring. I appreciate you continuing to watch and comment, because really I win in the end. If you stay here and watch me or you stay here and comment, that only helps me. So really, I'm kind of picking a fight with you so that you can say more. Perfection equals boring, as no tension would be built. I agree. Hey, Laura, will you rank episodes of Picard from best to worst? When the season ends, I'm going to be doing a full lore review, a full lore breakdown. So yes, I will be doing that. I noped the F out of Discovery when Michael said, "And what if my religion is called science?" Roddenberry is spinning as great. You know, I'll say this. I don't think that's anti-Roddenberry, though Roddenberry would be upset about that. He did kind of make science a religion, I think. He made the Prime Directive the Bible. I don't think he did that on purpose, but I do think so. Merrick, you wonder about my opinion, and yet I'm boring. Intriguing. Huh. Well, thanks for the interaction. I'm getting on board with Picard. Yeah, again, I hope they don't mess it up. They can mess it up in 2 episodes. By the way, I want to say thank you so much to, I think I can say this, Tech Fixer. So much for supporting the channel. We'll get into why I need your guys' help on this a little bit later. Let me go ahead and add that, and then we'll continue on. Don't forget to hit that like button where we got 120 people or so. Hit that like button. Don't worry, the like button is more scared of you than you are of it. And that's just science, guys. Don't get mad at me about science, you know? Science is going to science. Let me update that. Nope. There we go. All right. Let's keep it. Christy Solis becoming a member, becoming a gelato enthusiast. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Boring plus lore is bloring. I hate you. I hate you so much. That's what I'm going to call this, the Bloring cast. We're just blurring about. Where's my stuff? There it is. I hate you all so much, by the way. I can't stand any of you. You all make me sad. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving in here. So, Picard is somewhat frustrating to me in this episode. And the reason why Picard is somewhat frustrating to me is because Picard holds the stupid stick a lot in this episode. The Picard of TNG, the Captain Picard, would never be this dumb. He would never be this fragile. That said, his character is at the end of his years. He's in the twilight of his entire life. And he has the rheumatic syndrome. So, maybe we could say that that's why his character constantly holds the stupid stick. They find out that Agnes is a traitor, that she had a tracker in her, that she neutralized the tracker, put herself into a coma, and then the Romulans weren't able to track the ship. The EMH finally says, yeah, she deactivated me after killing Maddox. He explains how she killed him. Which, first off, these EMHs make no sense. Okay, maybe, you know, I guess at first I thought the EMHs were sentient to a degree because they at least appear sentient. If I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, this is what I'm going to say. These programs aren't sentient. They're just, as they say, fresh installs. They're just what comes standard with the ship. And because of that, they don't necessarily think outside of the box when it comes to how all of this works. Because the EMH says, or the hospitality, whatever, this person says, this hologram says, yeah, she killed him. Why didn't he reactivate or alert them? Now, if he's a simplistic program, then maybe that's how that works. That's a horrific way to build something. You would think you would put like some kind of heuristic or some kind of algorithm in them that says, hey, if you observe a murder, maybe you should tell the captain. Maybe that's kind of a directive you might consider in future, like Holograms 3.0. But whatever, right? So, finally he does tell after being asked. Picard again is holding the idiot stick. He's like, "Not Agnes. No, she was just in so much pain. She didn't know what she was doing. It's just so frustrating. I hate it when the heroes are idiots." Star-Lord is the worst character in Marvel Universe. He deserves to watch Gamora die a horrific death over and over and over again. That's what he deserves. He deserves to watch the person he loves the most continue to die. And every time she comes back, he needs to be given the slightest bit of hope that she'll survive and get away, but she never will. And that needs to be his life. Over and over and over and over. Heroes that are just so stupid that other people get killed annoy me greatly. So you have Picard here, who doesn't believe. Can't believe it. But at least they're all coming together. You have, again, Rafi, who knows what's going on, is an actual intelligent human being, and calls her out for what she is. The EMH admits that the death did occur. And so, again, it's just coming together. It's a really strong scene. The only really great thing I love about this, I guess, or the thing to take away from it, is all of these are character development, and all of them are really strong scenes. And I hate that we're on episode 8, and we're having this type of character development. Again, this, in my opinion, when putting all of this together, from a storytelling standpoint, this should have been episode 4, 5, or 6. You know, episode 1, 2, possibly 3 is the call to action, is the what's going on, the Soji piece. That wasn't bad the way they did that. 4 to 5, maybe getting the gang together. 6 is the character development and everybody having issues with each other. And then 7, 8, 9, and 10 is the actual culmination of it all. The heroes taking on the bad guys, right? And maybe at 8, this episode, or 9, you have the hero fall, or whatever, the new challenge that occurs. I don't like that as a part of the hero story, but a lot of people do it. But they didn't do that. We're at 8, and we're finally having solid character development, solid information given, characters becoming their own, showing they aren't idiots. We're being given information to allow us to empathize and relate with the villains. And it had to get to episode 8. I feel like I'm all over the place on this, guys. It is a good episode. And I guess that's just what gets me. The episodes up till now, episode 1 and 2 were pretty good. And then everything else has just been meh. And so now I have an episode I can really get my teeth into. And I just think it's well done. We also are going to get some information when it comes to our good friend Rafi. Or not Rafi, good friend Rios. Captain Manspreader, as it were. But before that, we have Starfleet. Fantastic. I love how... It's kind of interesting how the communication systems work. She's actually sitting in there with him, so I guess the way the holographic information works, they can do that now. He's basically saying, look, X, Y, and Z, all of this is happening. We need help. If you don't want to send someone, you're absolutely wrong. Starfleet is, has to assist in this. This is a new life form. This is a new civilization, and the Romulans are going to destroy them. I don't like the fact that they continue to make this admiral like Kersey McCursington from Cursing Town. That, she must be a lot of fun if you're her lover. So I'll say that. I think that she's probably one hell of a fun mistress in the bedroom. But when it comes to being an actual admiral, I don't know why she has to curse all the time. I get that they're going for, I guess, a more gritty, a more hardened Starfleet officer. But it's just, I don't know. It feels unnecessary. It doesn't feel like something that needs to be there. But it's there because she curses at least twice, I think, in this with some F-bombs. Watch out. But the scene itself, she says, you know what? You're right. Starfleet's on its way. We're sending a squadron to DS-12. You need to meet us at DS-12. We'll send a squadron to help you out. Intriguingly, I don't know how they're going to get past Commander O in this conversation. I don't remember him bringing up that Commander O is basically a traitor. So she's going to send the squadron out. Commander O is going to know about it. Also, we may see a tie-in to the comic book. Remember in the comic book, all of the systems were shut down on one of the Starfleet vessels. Commander O could still do that, could shut down an entire fleet. So we may be seeing that occur as well, if we see him at all. This could have been a... I don't know if I want to say red herring, but they could be putting it out there and saying, hey, we're going to have a bunch of Starfleet vessels show up, but we never actually see them. I got kind of excited. I would love to see some of the new designs. It would be interesting for them to show some of the older designs too. Not Discovery older. I'd love to see an Akira class starship in this type of CGI system that they have. I think that would have been that'd be pretty solid. That'd be fun. Sovereign class or even a Galaxy class, even though the Galaxy would be so aging by this point. The scene itself between the two, with the curse words, doesn't do much for me. It is kind of uplifting that Starfleet is now wanting to help, that they're going by their charter, that there's this civilization that needs someone out there, and so they're going to go and assist. I liked that. I don't... Beyond that, I'm not sure. By the way, I love the fact... Another thing here, I love the fact that Picard decided to have a supernova occurring right outside of his house. I think that's an interesting choice. Because no natural light is going to hit... I mean, is the sun just directly at him with a magnification? It's possible, but yeah. It's a good way of lighting it, though. Because they could have hard lights like right behind... They probably do. They have hard lights directly behind all of those windows, and then they just use the shades there to use it to soften the light. It's a good way of doing it. But anyway, I digress. What are your guys' thoughts? Let's click back over to you and see. As you said, I'm going scene by scene, and then I'm going back to see how you lovely people are and what you lovely people think. F-bombs in my track. What the fudge, they says. Effing stop swearing in the future, y'all. I don't think I said that, Max Matthews. Get off my tossed lawn. There was actual cursing quite a bit in the original series, but it's how they did it. Media glitch in the house. I wish I knew about Star Trek, but I'll support your channel, my friend. You need to watch Star Trek. It's fun. Show me an Excelsior class, because you know they've still got that. They probably do. I would. Assistance when they're not going there now. By this point, the Galaxies have probably taken over the roles of the Excelsiors that are still around. In theory, that's probably what happened. That's how I would have done it. I would, because you see that a little bit in Voyager, where there's like just 700 galaxies sitting everywhere, and when there's an emergency, galaxies show up like it's going out of business. Galaxies in Defiance. So I would say that that's probably where they're going with it. I don't hate that. Yeah. It's probably a way of looking at it. Let's see what you guys said before there. I like that we're still getting character development. They're setting up a second season by slow playing the plot. If season 2 keeps up the quality, I could see it getting 5 years. We're still getting character development. A better way of saying that is they're starting character development. Maybe you could say we had character development on Rafi and Picard and Rios and Agnes. But we didn't have any character development on Narissa, Sister Incest. And we didn't have near this level of development. And so yeah. Something else I'm going to add, guys, and I feel weird about talking about this, and I hope I'm not doing it too much. But as you guys know, I'll be moving. I actually have a cool, fun video where you and me and everybody are going to troll the heck out of my fandom, because only the real hardcore fans are here generally. But I'm actually moving earlier than I thought. I'll be moving in the beginning of April, like the real beginning of April. And things are a little tight because I paid a used cars worth of money to do deposits and everything. So if you'd like to help out the channel and help me squeak by, especially since I have to be in DC at the end of this month, it's really hard pressing me on finances. If you want to help out, please look in the description and look at the tip settings or look at the PayPal. I'm not doing super chats because that money comes the next month. I've put the goal that I need to make sure that everything's taken care of and everybody eats. Don't give if you don't have the money to. Don't give me money if you can't afford to feed yourself or your kids. If you want to, great. If you don't feel bad about it. I just putting it out there. Thank you. The show is the character development for fun. You're wrong. I disagree, Max. I don't think it is. I don't. Don't misconstrue. Don't misconstrue. Slow, dramatic talking scenes for character development. Don't ever misconstrue those two things. We've had a lot of slow talking scenes. We haven't always had character development. Those are drastically different. NX class is the best class. Howard Gleason, you are a bad person. You are definitively bad. By the way, shout out to AM helping out the channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Not a bad episode. Still has a weird CW vibe. When you say CW, you're talking about like their DC Universe vibe? Because, I mean, maybe I could see that. I'm not shaving my beard, even though there have been confirmed corona outbreaks in my state, which is fantastic. It's just a jolly good time. Thought about watching the show Picard, but I can't get into it. I feel like they are disrespecting Picard. All the girls he runs into yelling and shouting down at him. It's not just the girls. I don't think they're doing it. You know, he does get yelled at a lot. I would agree Picard gets yelled at a lot. But I don't think it's really a girl power thing. I really don't. Again, the writing for Picard is a lot more... I don't want to say professional. A lot better done, in my opinion, let's say. I'm not shaving my face. I'm not doing it. It's not happening. All right. Let's continue on, good friends. Greatest of friends, some might say. All right. So, then you have Rafi, who's looking for Rios, who's about to tell him, I was right the entire time. And she runs into... She can't find him, but she keeps running into all of his holograms. One thing I love about this is his holograms feel like distinct characters. I think it is exceptional how great... I think the actor of Rios is exceptional. Because he makes distinct characters that do feel different, that do... seem unique, even from themselves. I think that it is, he's very, very talented. And, it's kind of, I don't know. Again, I really like the different characters he does. Interestingly enough, too, something that you guys may or may not have noticed is that I disappear for a second. That's all over. That'd be funny as hell, wouldn't it? That'd at least be worth $5. All right, how about it? Okay. An interesting thing is they talk about these 8 planets, which are all put together. Not 8 planets, I'm sorry, 8 stars, which would be incredibly hard to do. But that's where the Conclave of 8 come from. She thought it was like 8 people. I even theorized about that. But it's actually 8 stars pointing to a specific planet. Intriguingly, something you may not have noticed if you were watching this, when talking about it, the navigator states, hey, in the past, Romulans used to have on their star charts 8 planets like this, whatever they called it, I forget what they called it, this phenomena. But more recent and modern star charts don't have them. They just disappeared. That may be the Zhat Vash deleting and getting rid of that information so that no one would find it. which is a really interesting thing, and you would have missed it if you weren't watching for it. I think that was more the Zot Vash deleting it from the Romulan maps and star charts, not the Romulans getting rid of it because they thought it was mythos. And so it's really neat. I really think there's a lot in the dialogue you can get if you rewatch it or listen to it pretty closely, which is nice. It's great when they have writing like that. So anyway, Rafi, for all intents and purposes, is going on a mission to figure out what's going on with Rios. For some reason, she decides to talk to all of the holograms versus Rios. I know Rios told her to go to hell, but she still could have pushed him on it. But, that's whatever. We'll come back to that in a second. Then we have Narissa, who finds the badge, because apparently he dropped the... Elnor decided to drop or accidentally dropped the communicator. She now knows that Seven is on the ship with them. They start killing both XBs as well as Borg alike. And the reason why is because they know they're going to attempt to activate them. So let's talk about one of the best scenes, or one of the more intriguing scenes, I guess. Something that's pretty cool, though, is if you look right here where she's activating this pad, you see information pop up over her hand, which I think is awesome. They make it to the Queen's room, and she begins activating all of them, right? And the plan is to activate all of the Borg and get the Romulans off. They have an interesting back and forth, because Elnor was like, well, why don't you activate the Borg and then assimilate these Romulans? And you can see just the disdain or the amazement or surprise, even a little bit of vitriol. And she points it out. She's like, you want me to activate the Borg, assimilate the Romulans, take their freedom away from them, make them into something different. That's really what you want me to do. And he says at the end, he's like, well, we'll free them after all of this. And she says, what if I don't want to do that? So here's something that I think is wonderful and very Voyager-esque. See, people get really confused. 7 of 9 is a murderer, which is dark and is taking her and completely changing the character to something that she wasn't. It is, some could say it is a betrayal. I don't know that I feel that way, but I could empathize with someone who feels it's a betrayal of the character. However, it doesn't mean that the character's not dark, or the character wouldn't do things that are very dark. 7 of 9 being a murderer stands against everything she has ever, at the end, in season finale, that 7 of 9 stands against everything that she had become. It is a complete dissolution of her arc. However, she was a former Borg that had always felt a draw to go back to the collective, who still wanted to be a part of it, but was constantly fighting that, right? And so that was something that was with her. It was like a drug that she couldn't get rid of. And now, 20 to 30 years later, we see her on a Borg cube with Romulans who are killing innocent people, people that they're trying to save, people who are former Borg. And they're going to kill all of the other Borg that they could save, but they're going to kill them. And if they do, another civilization may die as well. And so now she has a choice. She can become the Borg Queen and activate all these Borg and assimilate the bad guys, assimilate the Romulans to save the Borg and the freed Borg that are on the ship, as well as this other civilization. But if she does that, she could quite possibly lose who she is, become another queen, lose her soul, as it were, and then become that of which she hated. Or she doesn't do it, and they try to find another way, or all of the Borg on the ship die. That is very Voyager, and that is very Trek, and it's still dark. It's exceptionally dark. Because does she become the Borg Queen, and will she be able to resist being what a queen is? And is it the right thing to do? Do you assimilate, take the freedom of these soldiers who are just doing their job, by the way? Most Romulan soldiers on this Borg cube are there because they were ordered to and to do their jobs. They're not the ones making the decisions. So they're in a way as innocent as all the others. Something is going to happen to them that the punishment doesn't necessarily fit the crime. They're just following orders. That, to me, is exceptionally dark. But it's still within the spirit of Star Trek. Her becoming a murderer because, whatever, I don't know, faux Deanna Troi, I forget the name of the character, decided to eviscerate someone and she just murders them in cold blood. It's not, in my opinion, comparable. One is better than the other. One is more Trek than the other. And so something can be dark. I don't mind Trek being dark. Deep Space Nine is one of my favorite series. The original series itself had exceptionally dark, on the good guys' side, dark stories. Dark isn't bad. It has to be a type of Trek dark, if that makes sense. The spirit of it. And I think the spirit of this is written exceptionally well. I really do. What's that say? Okay. So, we'll kick it back to you guys. I'd be interested in your opinion when it comes to that, honestly. How do you guys feel when it comes to that type of darkness, as it were? And I'll have to give it a second for it to catch up. The Queen and Voyager said she was released for a purpose. Okay. Are the Borg like a beehive that creates only a few queen bees? We don't know yet, to be honest. The way it seems, there's a couple of theories. Generally, it seems like there's one specific Borg queen, but a lot of the storylines seem to indicate that there are multiple queens and it works like multiple hives. It's honestly not very clear, and I don't think the writing on the Borg itself is done clear or well. Bill Dorr, I feel like you are putting much more effort into explaining this than the actual show writers. For example, you were calling her a murderer, but the showrunners do not even consider what she did as murder. Well, I would call the Nazis murderers that killed all the Jews, but Hitler would probably disagree with me on that. I mean, just because you don't accept that's what it is, doesn't mean it's not what it is. I don't think the scene needs any justification. Okay. The Queen is behind me. Yeah, pretty cat. Are the Borg... we already asked that. That just demonstrates any typical fan's passion. I like the detail and the time he has taken. That demonstrates the showrunners have done their jobs and they've gotten us to discuss it as deeply. I would say on this one as well. And you know, I think that's a good point. I think her killing that one chick really didn't do a lot, but her becoming a Borg queen, now that's a conversation starter. That's a thing to debate. That's very Trek. I think you could take those two examples and show how one is a lot better than the other, and how it and how one has more of the spirit, or at least a remembrance of what was, versus the other. Romulans are indeed flat earthers, though. That's science fact. That is just science fact. I loved Nepenthe too. I really doubt we are the minority among all viewers based on all of my many fellow friends. Well, good. He did say that. He did. She didn't have to listen. So Rios did say, leave me alone. And not so eloquently. And she didn't have the option. She didn't have to listen to him if she didn't want to. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Nope. Yep. Nope. All right. So, as I stated beforehand, hold on. Narissa begins killing all the XBs as well as all of the Borg. They're going to jettison all of the Borg. Ultimately, Oh, one interesting piece here though is as does it show? I missed it. Hold on. Oh, she doesn't yet. Hold on. Never mind. Wait for it. This scene, I don't know how to feel about this. I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion on this scene. So the Borg cube begins regenerating, right? And I'm trying to find it right now. There it is. I don't know. It looks like little bugs to me. What this the Borg cube begins regenerating. I guess maybe it's just the skin moving and feeling more alive. I thought it was bugs at the beginning. Those look like bugs to me. But it could just be it, quote unquote, regenerating. The 7 of 9 activates the cube. She tells it to start fixing itself. That's what it begins doing here. We have Narissa going around killing people. She also says we need to jettison all of the Borg, as you do. And at that point, ultimately, yeah, look at that. Hold on. It's so quick, I don't know that I can get it. There it is. Stop! So you can't see it now because it's not moving, but the actual image shows all of these little pieces just moving around. Again, it could just be the skin moving, but for some reason they look like repair droids or something like that. If they are repair droids, I'm not a huge fan of that. I like the Borg cube healing itself because that is something so unnatural to what we think when it comes to technology. And I think that it would be more Borg-like for it not to be like nanites or whatever. Well, it could be nanites, but for the actual cube itself just to start healing like a wound would if we cut ourselves. But for the most part, it starts. Then after that, we go back. So it goes back and forth between these two. Another really powerful scene, I think, is that between Soji and Picard. I think this is this may be the most powerful scene in the episode. In this, they discuss who Soji is. They discuss Picard's past. And this is, a lot of critics are going to get upset about this. And a lot of Red Letter Media is probably going to go crazy about it too. Picard says that he loves Data. And so, intriguingly, I think a lot of people are going to try to take that in a way that isn't... I don't know. I think people are going to try to take it stronger than what it's meant. Because you can love someone as a friend. You can have a really deep connection with a friend. But not have like romantic involvement or even a familial love. And he could mean familial love. I'd even say that he does in this. A lot of people will try to say, well, that's not the Picard of the Next Generation. And I would agree. That isn't the Picard of the Next Generation. Until the last episode. The last episode, Picard, and then every movie that was after the series finale actually shows Picard to be very close, very familial with all of his crew. And so him loving Data isn't out of the norm. It's not something that's inconsistent or incongruent. It would be a natural progression, and it would be something that I think... is again, it's just something very Trek. Additionally, some people may take it that, he looked at Data above all else, that Data was more important than everyone else. Because the scene in other episodes certainly can give that impression. I don't think that's the way it is. Data directly saved his life, and I do think that plays a part in it. But I think he feels this way about all of his old crew. Riker, Geordi, Deanna. I think he feels this way about all of them. But we're talking about Data for the moment. And so, again, it's a really wonderfully done scene. And Soji asks him, what do you think about Data? And then what do you think Data would think about you? What would you want Data to say? Does Data, do you think Data feels the same way? And it ends with Soji telling Picard that Data actually loves him. And I don't know. I just think I think it's beautiful. I think it's really well done. I think it's a very powerful scene. I don't know that I want to say this. I guess I will though. So if you guys are on Twitter and you have Ketwalski or Jesse, they're two people I interact with a lot. Um, and they talk about how powerful the episodes are, and I just don't see it, a lot of it. But I do think that if you look at some of the ways they talk about different episodes, for this scene, it would be the way I feel. I think this is probably one of the more powerful non-action Trek scenes that you can have. I think it is a good exploration of loss and of connection that you can have. And I think it's very Trek. I do. A lot of people may not like it because it's people talking and, we're using the word love and oh God, Picard says love. What the hell is going on? Can we ever live again? But I like that. The next pieces we have is Rafi still trying to figure out what is going on. She's talking to all of the different holograms. Apparently Rios has deleted specific pieces in the holograms matrix. So he went in there and just deleted like the temperature of different beverages and stuff like that, and just random stuff. You don't know what's going on. An intriguing thing to look at too, though, is they do give some clues. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull it up, about Rios and what he reads. And so you'll see like some of his books, if I can pull it up. I don't think I can. Like he reads Surak. He reads mythology. He is really focused on the human condition and how feeble humanity can be. And I think that is, and I'm still trying to pull it up while I'm doing it, I think that's an intriguing way of giving some backstory. Again, this scene right here where he's taking stuff out and you see his uniform and you see the different books, it's a great way of visual storytelling and giving background. I wish they had done this before 80% of the series was done. It would have been nice to see this at like episode 6, maybe. It doesn't have to be in the same episode that he is introduced, but could you at least give us this backstory and make us care before this happens? But we're learning more and more about him. He's focused on the human condition. Again, Rafi is talking to all the different holograms. There's not a ton that's added beyond that. It clicks back to, well, that's not an important piece, I guess. Let's finish this up because it came back up. So she has all of the holograms in the holodeck. And honestly, this is just, I love this. What's interesting is if you're not into filmmaking or you don't try to green screen things, this is both exceptionally easy and exceptionally hard to do. Green screening you next to yourself actually isn't all that hard. It's pretty easy. You can put yourself next to yourself without a huge deal. You don't even need Adobe. You can do that in a lot of the more basic editing software. However, timing it just right to where everyone interacts appropriately is the most god-awful thing I've ever had to do. And so I really respect the living hell out of this scene. There's not a ton to it. We really just find out that he is really connected to his former captain. Something happened. We don't know what's going on. And I have never laughed out loud on this series. Any part of Star Trek Picard has not made me laugh out loud. Maybe I've smiled, or inwardly I was like, oh, that's funny, but I didn't laugh. There's a part where she's talking with the engineer, and the engineer says something and everyone agrees, and then she responds. I don't want to give it away. I want you to watch it. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Not that I've ever seen, but it is exceptionally funny. Oh my God. Ultimately, this is the culmination of her getting and talking to Rios, though. By the way, I feel like I am rambling. Let me know if I'm rambling, all you lovely people. We'll give it a second, see what you guys think about all this. And And I would agree with what you're saying here. This is the first episode. I feel like I finally know Rios. I agree. I connected with Rios. I didn't connect with Rios till this. He was literally Captain Manspreader to me. But now I kind of feel like a connection is there, you know? And I wish they had done that before that. Again, it's so frustrating because Discovery writers really know how to write Trek and they really know how to write good stories. It just seems like it takes a while to get there with their writing. Just for me, you know, I don't know. They were all books on fear and death, and then it makes Picard's conversation with Rios at the end irrelevant because Picard was hitting a very emotional spot. Sure. Those emergency holograms sure ain't no the Doctor. I would agree with that. By the way, guys, if you guys are watching this, I'm bringing it up ever so often. Hopefully I'm not saying it too much. If I am, please let me know. But for those who are not in the know, I will be moving. I'll be moving April 1st, in fact. And because of that, I'm moving a month earlier than I thought, and I had to pay quite a lot more money, especially earlier. And so I'm still trying to just squeak by and make it to the end of the month. So if you'd like to give, I still got bills and people to pay, and I got to go to DC, which is a lot of fun. So I've removed super chats because those I get next month. I'll return those once this quote unquote crisis is over. If you guys want to, you can just look in the description. You can see the PayPal options there. If you don't have it, or people aren't going to be able to eat because you're giving me money, don't give me money you don't have. I'll be fine. But yeah, if you want to help out, I appreciate it. Yeah, I remember all the crazy tricks Back to the Future crew did to put 2 copies of Marty on screen back in the 80s. Yeah, I mean, it's exceptionally easy now, but the interactions is hard. Timing it. The show is great, but it's got a really slow boot up. Maybe. People thinking Rios is himself a hologram. If he was, why would he have a chunk of metal in his shoulder and need the EMH? People think that Rios is a hologram. We've seen him off ship. He can't be a hologram. In fact, they even explain it. The reason why all of the other look like him is just because they scanned him. Remember? It's like, oh, they had the basic installs and then we just scanned his mind. So I think holograms would be more of a threat than synths. Well, maybe. They don't. It's not a 3-parter because many other fans like myself appreciate deep character development. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there, Charles Grant. There's a difference between deep character development and waiting 6 hours before you develop a character, and then developing them in the last hour. So I'm not sure if that's a response to me or not, but there is a difference. I enjoy deep character development as well. I can even enjoy slow character development, but you have to have character development is what I'm saying. So there's that. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. Everybody's thinking it. I'm just saying it. Anyway. Yeah, I don't think they have a mobile projectors at that point. The Doctor would, but that's what, 31st or 29th century tech? I don't know. All right, we'll continue on, good folks. I may have to cut this early. We'll have to come back to it. So I'll address this first, though. Corey Kearney. First, I'm not even sure. It's not the first 6 episodes. It's 8 episodes. They're 80% into it. The first season of every Star Trek was weak. Just because historically every season has been weak in Star Trek doesn't mean that this one has to be. I think Picard getting moving in 6 episodes, not 6, it's 8, unless you're saying the 6th episode is where it got jiving for you. I still don't think it's necessarily moving, you know? I don't know. Heck skips me, but responds to my responses. I'm confused. He skips me. I don't know what you're talking about, Gopher696. I hope the season ends on a cliffhanger, that Seven becomes the new Borg Queen. I hope it doesn't end on cliffhanger. Fuck that. I hope it doesn't. Oh, that's what Gopher697. So I don't see you, but I'm responding to someone who responded to you. I got you. Dude, guys, I mean, I'm get comments every couple of seconds. You're going to have to, Give me some slack. I think the producers are assuming that Picard will go 3 series, but treating Picard as one 30-episode series rather than 3 10-episode series, that would be a mistake. If they're doing that, they shouldn't. That is a mistake. That is a solid mistake. Okay, then we get past this back and forth. All right, and then we have Picard. Picard's like, Agnes, you daft fool, you dolt. You're going to go to jail for killing Maddox. And of course, he was testing her. He wanted to see if she'd admit it, and of course she does. And then she's just like, "Oh my God, it's so horrible. You know, Commander O is a Romulan spy, or not a Romulan spy, but she's half Romulan, and she showed me this horrific stuff, and she poisoned my mind, and she put a block in there so I can't talk to you about it, but I don't want to talk to you about it anyway, and it's just so bad, and my mind is poisoned." A lot of people are gonna, I think that dialogue was said that way on purpose, and a lot of people are gonna take it where it's like, oh, Commander O turned her into this evil person. Commander O didn't turn her into this evil person. She showed her something that made her want to kill people. Commander O did not make her want to kill Maddox. She is not innocent. She is an evil, evil human being. She straight up slaughtered someone. 7 of 9 is a better person than her, and both of them are murderers. So, there is that. I don't really feel any pity for this chick. I think they're trying to build that up. I don't. She murdered a person. Hopefully she gets what she deserves. I hope to God she does. So anyway, Picard's like, "You did a bad thing." She's like, "Yeah, I did a bad thing. And there's this big evil coming, but I don't want to tell you about it." Also, that's stupid when you think about it. If there is this horrific evil that's coming, but she doesn't want to tell him what happens, then how can she make him understand why they need to stop what they're doing? Additionally, why would Commander O put this block in? There's another question. Why doesn't Commander O just go to Picard and she's like, "Look, I understand what you want to do. Let me show you what's going to happen if you do it, and then go from there." Why are they trying to hide this from Picard? Why doesn't she just let him know? Why doesn't she show him? And why wouldn't Star Trek's Kaylee want to tell him? I don't understand. I don't get it. All right, so now we have Commander Rios and Rafi who are having a conversation together. She's like, "What the hell? You know, I talked to all of your holograms who gave me pieces and fragments of your mind and told me what's going on with you." And he was like, "Yeah, I had a captain. This captain, we found 2 people from a new species. Starfleet Command told us to kill this captain or everyone on the ship would be destroyed. Or to kill the dignitaries. He killed the dignitaries. I got onto the captain saying that he was a Starfleet officer. The captain kills himself because I basically gave him a bad time, and here we are." This is probably where a lot of people are going to get pissed off. A lot of people are probably going to be like, "Oh my God, Starfleet Command would not only not tell them to kill 2 dignitaries, but would not destroy their own ship, not destroy a Starfleet vessel." There's a couple things to this. First off, we're not exactly sure of when this timeline occurred, so it could have happened after the fall of Starfleet Admiralty, after they had been infested by Romulans. By the way, I totally called that, by the way. I called the Hydra. We saw that. But anyway. Moving forward. If we were looking at TNG or Deep Space Nine, this is something that still would happen. We did have a coup that almost happened with Leighton. Leighton ordered a ship to destroy another ship. So admirals, believing it being in the best interest of everything, would probably be okay with doing that if there was enough reason to. So it's not really outside of the norm for Starfleet Admiralty to order something horrific and threaten something horrific. Something to this extent. No, again, Leighton did the same thing. So honestly, this isn't anything new. A lot of people are going to try to say that this isn't Starfleet Command or this isn't what was going on. We saw this. We saw this in Deep Space Nine. We saw this in TNG. Now, granted, in TNG, I think they had bugs that took them over. But there may have been other instances. I'd have to think about that. And I just realized my Hydra theory was true. They totally got taken over. The Tal Shiar totally took over Starfleet Command. That's fantastic. But anyway, he admits what's going on, and she fixes him with the power of something. I don't know. Here's my question, though. Remember how we were talking about when I was going through the fan fiction, making fun of all of the different lights? I mean, I guess this is Starfleet engineers, but some dude is like, hey, you know what we should do? You know what we should absolutely do? We should put a light, a hard, bright-ass light that would blind you if you turned and looked at it, right on the opposite side of the bed that faces to the left, because that would make a lot of sense to do. Now, it'll look absolutely awesome and be a good backlight if someone were filming them, but in every other instance, it doesn't make any sense, especially if it was practical, because, I mean, if he turns it on, it's going to blind him. It's going to, and he's not really going to be able to see anything. Anything that's not on the bed, we're not going to be able to see. But let's just put the light right here, because that's what smart people who design ships do. So moving on. Then we have Soji. Honest to God, I'll be honest with you guys here. I thought for a moment this was going to be, they were going to like embrace or kiss or something. I don't know. Just the way they came off was just, let's say, intriguing to me. She is asking all these things. Do you sleep? Do you get thirsty? Do you, you have beauty marks? At one point, Soji's like, yeah, I have a mole on my breast, between my breasts or something like that. I swear to God, I thought Agnes was going to ask to see it. And so Agnes is just like marveled at Soji. She thinks it's, one of the most wonderful things ever. And so, the only really interesting piece to this is, Soji says, if you're going to try to kill me, I'm not going to allow you to do it. And, Agnes says, well, I was going to, but I couldn't now that I see you because, you're just absolutely wonderfully beautiful and yada, yada, yada. Again, there's not a ton to add beyond Agnes just marvels at Soji. I'm not completely sure if this was tried to build the character up or what's going on, but, it's whatever. Let's go to what you guys are thinking, what you guys are saying. What's going on in the minds of the fans? What is going on for you guys? The Dominion War was bad enough. No more founders, says Frostwitch, responding to somebody, I'm sure. Lens flare is everywhere in this episode. Lens flare is everywhere in all of Picard. Picard is a lens flare. They do that a lot. Would have been cool. Jurati sleeps with everyone. Not out of doing something to save his ship. Oh, man. I, for a moment, thought Soji would drive a hand right through Agnes's chest after asking, am I a person to you? I guess there was a point in that. When you're looking at it, it got a little intense with her. Soji obviously was not a huge fan. It felt like, that entered my head too. I was like, is she about to kill this chick? But I don't think so. It's funny that you were titillated by the scene of Soji and Agnes. I was honestly waiting for Soji just to go all murder machine. The series has amped that up towards that conclusion. Titillated, I don't think, is a... I wasn't looking at this and like, man, this would have been a good porn or anything. It's based on the way they were reacting. I don't go to Picard for my porn. That's more Pornhub.com. Or adulttime.com. Hey, Laura Dude, did you find any part emotional? I've already discussed it. I thought it was really powerful between Soji and Picard when they were talking about, him loving or how Data would have loved Picard. I found that very impactful, very emotional. The crew sure trusted Agnes super fast after her betrayal. Yeah, we'll get into that. I don't know that they continue to trust her. But that is a good point. I mean, they're just like, they're like, she's told us the truth now. Everything, it's, clear skies are gone, or blue skies are going to clear up, or whatever they say. Gray skies, I don't care. I don't know the song. Fuck you. All right. I shouldn't have said that. That was inappropriate. I'm sorry. I feel bad about it. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it anymore. Get off my back. Where's OBS? Are you OBS? You are OBS. All right. So, can you hear that? Do it again. He snores. Do you guys know a cat that snores? We gotta be quiet. Shh, no one wake up. All right. So, we see 7 of 9 becoming the queen, which is really interesting. Funny that it doesn't make any holes. I guess you guys may not notice. There's no holes in her jacket or anything. So I guess these are some kind of phasic coils that go into her back. Her becoming a queen, I think, is intriguing. I think it's very Dark Trek, as we discussed. I think that it is something quite different. With her eyes becoming black and everything. Hold on, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get a good shot of her. Wait for it. Wait for it. There's a couple of things to this that are intriguing to me. The first one is her becoming the queen and activating all of the Borg cube is Dark Trek, and it's a culmination of the character and her deciding that it is better to be Borg to save people. Also, we missed it, but Narissa gets killed, or at least it looks like she's getting killed by the former Borg. But here is intriguing. Someone brought it up beforehand. When she answers, she says, "We are Borg. We are not the Borg." That is a callback to a lot of dialogue that she did in Voyager. And if it's easy to have missed. She has always stated, "I am Borg." She's never said was Borg. She has always said, "I am Borg," or when she was with someone else who had been assimilated too, saying, "We are Borg." So that is actually a common reference that she used, and it was a good callback from Voyager. It was something that had been done a while. The way the collective introduces itself is, "We are the Borg." So that's the two differences between it. One is individualized, the other is talking about the collective. And so, she says, "We are Borg," and bad stuff is about to happen. Except, oh noes, they send all of them out. It's kind of a neat little effect. You're not going to be able to see it here. You're going to have to rewatch it. I'm not doing the moving images. But you see all the Borg being thrown out of the ship. Now, my piece to that was... And even Seven screams no when they're all being ejected out of the cube. But the thing is space doesn't really hurt Borg. If you remember in First Contact, there were Borg on the outside of the ship. So them being thrown into space isn't necessarily a deal ender. Honestly, she only needs one Borg to take down the rest. It would be a little bit harder, but she just needs one Borg to take down the entirety of the Romulans. All she really needed to do here was to start beaming them back in, or to give them orders to try to, I guess, swim back to the cube itself. Them being ejected isn't really killing them. The Borg don't really get impacted by space. Maybe she's just doing it because it's going to make it harder, or they have to get back in. I don't think it was trying to intend that they're all dying. I don't know. Then we get a scene with Agnes talking to the crew, and this is where we all come together. Agnes is like, "You're the only family I ever had, and I screwed it over." Yeah, you did. You deserve to die. We shouldn't really be talking to you. And then, the good guys, the protagonists, learn everything that we know. Commander O is evil. There's this home planet of Soji's. Soji apparently exists with a home planet with sisters and brothers, and the sisters apparently look like her, I guess. We know this because Rios had the two dignitaries, and one of the dignitaries looked exactly like Soji, and liked fries and peppermint, liked dipping peppermint in fries, apparently, because that's okay. Which is why he was going insane. Because again, those were the two dignitaries. The two dignitaries that were killed by his captain. One of them was Soji, and apparently there's a planet of Sojis out there. That is a little confusing, because Maddox created Soji, and so I guess what it's saying is that when they stopped all synthetic life, or when they banned all synthetics, Maddox went to a planet and created an entire planet of synthetics. One of those synthetics dignitaries went to reach out to Starfleet, and then Starfleet killed those dignitaries. If Maddox was in trouble or being hunted down, why didn't Maddox just stay on the planet with his creations? Why did he try to run? Or did he create this planet before the ban? And if so, why did he keep it in secret? So it's kind of confusing. Assuming that he created this planet of androids after the ban, it's interesting to see the time paradox where basically the Zhat Vash are creating what they were trying to stop. So they got the Federation to ban all AI using Mars because it was found out that it was done by the Romulans. And then Maddox goes on the run and creates the very thing that they are scared of. So I think that's where they're trying to go with it, but the timeline doesn't exactly match up. Maybe I'm confused on that, but I think that's where they're going with it. Maybe. Rafi, of course, is right about all of it. She does a quick call out. So there is one other scene right here, and I can't really show it, but there's a point where Rafi looks at Picard, and she's like, yeah, can you believe the Romulans attacked Mars? And it's just a moment where the actors do so well, both of them, just do exceptionally well. And you can see Picard was basically admitting, you're right on this. That did, in fact, happen. There was an attack. And so, when I told you that wouldn't have happened, it just wasn't. And you see it, it's all in the emotions. It's not even, it's all in the facial emotion. It's not even something that's said between them. All right, guys, we are actually going to have to end this a little bit early. My kids are getting out, so I'm going to see what you guys have to say, and then I'll be doing another one. I'll be doing quite a few of these, again, because Daddy likes eating. And so just based on what you guys are looking at here, I'll be honest, after years of being a Seven fan, I'm afraid of losing her character to be the new evil bad guy queen. I doubt they'll go that way. I do think she will be queen, though. I'm aware of Star Trek porn on Pornhub. I'm intimately aware of it. The whole scene Rios described with his captain made me think of Janeway and that Omega particle and the way Starfleet had a special directive that forced her hand. Yeah, I could see that. I think this is a realistic way of how being a Starfleet officer would impact you. TNG, DS9, all of that was best case scenarios, right? Of unrealistic, that you could go through all of that and not have extreme PTSD. But I think if it was you took people today and made them Starfleet officers, that's what they would be. Talk to you later, Nathan. Yeah, maybe Maddox just found the planet of synths. Maybe, but he created Soji. They said that they created Soji. And so Soji, it was the exact same person on the planet of the synths, unless he was lying. Maybe Maddox never created synthetics. They found the planet and he just made that up to hide the planet, maybe? I don't know. I wonder if any drone could become a queen, or only unique drones like Seven. I don't know. That's an interesting question. question. Could there be kings, or does it have to be queens? I don't know. Not out of doing something to save his shop. What? I, for a moment, thought Soji would drive a hand. We already discussed that, and that's way too far back. Alright, guys. Man, I still want to see a Picard, but I'm not paying for CBS All Access. Nathan, just wait 2 more weeks, and then just get the free week from CBS and just binge it. This seems to be a total ripoff of the Android Cell Saga. Well, that and what is it? Battlestar Galactica. There's a lot of ripoffs here, good friends. All right, guys, we're gonna end it right here. I'll be coming back later in the day, and we will finish this up as well as talk about whatever you want. Please consider donating if you have the coin. I would appreciate it. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.